All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Is Your Six Covered? So it appears we got some few people out there. Let's start at the top here. Kathleen was the first one to show up, so Kathleen wins the prize of being the first one here. Got Jerry Parker, Black Sheepdog Tony G, Mike D. So appreciate you showing up. We'll get started here shortly. How's everybody doing tonight? We got pretty much a whole year left of people trying to get old Trump out of the White House. And I don't see that happening. Figured I'd say that because, we got 45 auto. So the other day, probably about a month ago, Bald and Curious. If you guys aren't familiar with Bald and Curious, go check out his channel. Does a lot of videos on shooting, all that kind of stuff. And he went to SHOT Show with Coda Boy and the gang, basically, and picked up a bunch of these morale patches. And he had sent them to me because I'm trying to LZ USA, what's up? Conservative Sniper Hunter. Man, I saw your video, Conservative Sniper Hunter. I watched one of them today. Really good, informative video. So if you don't see that video, go check out that for sure. Conservative Sniper Hunter was talking about what is the difference between basically like a quarter MOA gun versus a half MOA gun. I thought it was pretty impressive. So, hey, Keith Gregory. But yeah, Val had sent me a bunch of these. So we got Firearms Policy Coalition official member. Got Hyperfire. And what I'm doing with these is I'm trying to line the top of my Forerunner hood, the liner with a bunch of different cool patches. So he was nice enough to send these out. You can see little stag arms on the bottom there. This one's pretty cool. Prairie Enemy, the Sierra. It's a SHOT Show 2020 patch, kind of cool. And Pro Shot. AccuTac. Made in the USA. Forgotten Country. Geisley. DW. WTF SoCal, I sent you a link, buddy. Come visit me. Come talk and BS. Who's this? Does anybody know who this is? I cannot think of who that is. And then I got Volk. And the last one, just so you guys know, this will end. Bull Armory. So kind of cool. I got a little collection going right now, but he's like, I got these things. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I'm like, if you don't do anything with them, give them to me, and I'll put them on the liner. So I'm going to add all those to the Forerunner. Doug B, how you doing? Let's see. Tuesday, Trump got votes in California, then the Democratic candidates. Yeah, I'm going to be surprised to see that. Trigger Tech. Oh, is that Trigger Tech? Thanks, WTF. You can see I got these red marks on my face for some reason. I don't know what the hell it is. Must be the Bud Light virus, since I guess you can't say the other beer. I'm drinking some tea, of course, but I figured I'd see what you guys are up to. Went on X-Ring and I went on Hank Strange's channel today. Did a little fun chat with him again. I guess someone that was going to show up wasn't able to. You still on your diet? Actually, I couldn't find any of that sugar here. I went to Sam's Club. My wife went to the grocery store, so I'll have to check out a couple more grocery stores. I wouldn't say I'm on a diet. I would just say that I'm trying to get the sugar out of my sweet tea. Yeah, Hank's a hoot. It was a fun time. It was a fun time for sure. And then we BS for a while after chat. Hey, Wayne. And no, I have not done the cold bore shot yet, but my rifle's ready. And tomorrow is supposed to be like really cold and 17-degree winds. So I'm probably not going to shoot it tomorrow. Hey, Jackson. How you doing? I might wait on that. But I'm excited. I've been waiting to get off work to do that. And now the weather sucks. So I got that going for me. I actually found a what's up, Les? Hey, Tree Guy's here. How you doing, Tree Guy? Thanks for showing up. You know those old crappy locks that you get when you buy a pistol? I actually figured out a way to make this work on my rifle. Yeah, I'm in North Carolina, Kathleen. So right here, just having a little fun. You just wrap it around. Damn, this thing's heavy. And it works pretty good. Just drink Gold Peak iced tea. Gold Peak iced tea. That's the one that looks like Pure Leaf kind of, right? I think I bought a case of that today at Sam's Club because I couldn't find the sugar. The Pure Leaf that I normally drink, they didn't have, so I was a little bummed. So I think we're going to do a little bit of talking about, let's talk about prepping stuff for the day. Since I went to not Costco, Sam's Club, and noticed that there was a lot of stuff that was gone. The lady did say, I'm all, hey, did you guys move all the toilet paper and paper towels? She's all, no, the truck comes in tomorrow. So I was like, huh, okay. So it is true. I watched a couple of the channels that I watch, and they had the same problems. Most of the stuff was there, beans, rice kind of stuff, but toilet paper and that kind of stuff wasn't. So it's an Arizona tea thing. I used to be a huge Arizona iced tea fan. Still drink it. Like it. But Pure Leaf I like better. But I do like the 99-cent cans. Those are always nice. Jerry Parker asked if I'm going to try the 6mm Creedmoor. I'm going to try it after Ray gets it all and see how it does. Yeah, a lot of people are panic buying. A lot of people don't know where this thing's going to go. And to be honest, I think if everybody just chills out, you know, the flu is the flu. We lose a lot of people during the flu, the influenza, and it does take a lot of people's lives. It's usually the elderly or the people that are having medical issues. And depending on which one it is, it'll take the young. This one, I'm going to keep calling it the Bud Light virus because I guess for some reason you can't say the other one on here. I don't know why. But let me do some administrative skills while we are BSing. And let me turn a couple things on here. So I apologize for that. Should only take a couple hours to figure out. Let me turn this off. So I apologize for that. And let's see where I go. Get you guys' Tube Studio. But it's kind of a weird deal, right? So supposedly this one, what I've heard, what I've read, it's not affecting young children as much, which is really good. So that's a good thing compared to most or some of the influenzas. They have more issues with the elderly and the very young. This one's not impacting the young as much, which is really good. What the hell is this thing? So it's making it a little bit better, right? So that's always a plus. Let's do this. All right, Save that. And I'm almost done. All right, now I can see your guys' comments again. All right, so I got Bad Billy 429. Let's see who else showed up while I was hitting some buttons. Alan B. Pro, how you doing? Your Corona is trying to get the name changed to. Yes, exactly. So yeah, you guys are going to hear me say Bud Light, just because change it up a little bit. What's up, Rick? Back home, I see. Yeah, I'm back home, Billy. Back home, back in the Free State. Oh, goodness. Papa's Place. Notice the outbreaks in major cities. I live in BF Egypt. No worries here. The biggest crowds are the Circle K. That's awesome, Les. Levi Cummings. Costco is cleaned out in Mesa, Arizona. The Bass Pro Shop still is plenty full of 6.5 Creedmoor, 250 round boxes for sale. Nice. Yeah, Joaquin, the cold bore shooting is a possibility tomorrow, but it's going to be really cold and windy tomorrow, so probably not. I was gone, Doug B, for 10 days. A day to get to work, work my 8 days, and then a day home. A long flight home. I went from, I think I was in 5 states yesterday. Started off in California, went to Missouri, went to Atlanta, Georgia, to South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, and then drove my ass home into North Carolina. So I was all over the damn place yesterday. Had a 4-hour layover in Missouri, which was just awesome. Did I get bored with pistols? No. Might shoot some pistols. Mel Fogg, how you doing, Mel Fogg? I got your holster right there, buddy. Mel Fogg. I haven't seen that name in a while. Glad to see that name. Let's see, it's 86 degrees where Levi's at. That is not bad. That's a nice day. Pat RMG, how you doing? Appreciate you showing up. We're just having fun here talking about stuff. What we're really going to try to talk about, I guess I'm going to try to talk about, and you guys are going to help me out, obviously, is let's talk a little bit about prepping. I talked about some of the shelves are definitely empty. A lot of cleaning supplies are empty. All the things people think they need, should have on hand, whether it's N95 mask, whether it's rubber gloves, whether it's alcohol or Lysol or bleach or whatever the case is. A lot of that stuff is not on the shelves right now. Glaucoma, anal glaucoma. No, I have not. So it's kind of a thing. People are running around. She's doing okay. Today was pretty good. They said that her bleed in her brain had stopped. So that is good. It still hurts, she said, in the back where she had crashed. But they said that the bleeding has stopped, and everything that she's going through right now, which is pain and a little bit of a foggy memory kind of stuff, is, yeah, SoCal, my wife crashed on us. She... I talked about it yesterday, I think. Yeah, I did. Actually, it was in Missouri. I talked about it. She had crashed on a snowboard. She had a helmet on, but she hit so hard that she basically went unconscious and woke up to a bunch of people working on her. And then when she woke up, she thought she was fine. She thought those people were there for somebody else. So she's doing a lot better now. So I'm super excited about that. Lakeview Outdoors, how you doing? So SoCal, that's the that's the update, and the rest of you, that's the update. And the only reason why I said SoCal is because he's been over to the house and has met my wife. So what are your guys' thoughts? A lot of you here, I would say at least 50% of you here probably have some type of supplies that you utilize, whether you want to call it whatever. You know, living in California for many years, being in the fire service for 30 years, you kind of prepare for stuff, you know, whether it's an earthquake in California, and and saving up on water and having some stocks and supplies available, food and all that good stuff is always me off. I'm losing you. My daughter's doing homework, so she must have. Look, what kind of bums me out the most is when we have these big winter storms and there's people that are basically die in their cars for the lack of not having anything in that vehicle, whether it's just a simple phone charger or this little cord right here. If they would have had it in their car, they could have called. They could have called 911 and got some rescuers out there, but just not having a phone cord, a $5, $10 phone cord that they could have plugged in to keep their phone charged could have saved their life. There's people that get stuck. They're not really stuck, but there's just too much snow and they're stuck, or they slid off the road. They don't have any type of food. They don't have any type of something to keep them warm. And having a bag is definitely important. I have a bag, especially here, because we have 4 seasons, and I'll rotate it out a little bit depending on the season of having stuff. But for the most part, it always has some type of lights. It has fire in there of some sort. It has MREs. Sometimes it has a lot of sweet tea. Like right now, it has a case of sweet tea in the back. But having stuff, granola bars or whatever you're going to eat, and it has bivy sacks to keep me warm. I slept in my car one time at the airport because I wanted to beat the snow here, so I drove an hour south to get to the airport, and it was a lot warmer there than it was here. And I froze my ass off in the car, and I had a blanket in there. Just I'd have to start it up every couple hours because I was freezing. Keeping your fuel tank topped off. One of the things I tell my son all the time is once you hit 3/4 of a tank, start thinking about filling it up again. I go, if you're gonna have to you're gonna have to get fuel anyways. So if it gets to half, you've already don't let it get past half, basically. Elster rifles and reloading. Sure, you're not addicted to live streaming and iced tea. Well, okay, I think I have a problem. I've gone to Chats Live AA. DW says I bought a couple of 5-day emergency food backpack 5 years ago. Keep them under my bed. They're good for 5 years. Do you have one in your vehicle? That's great. That's great. And I think DW's he's on the right path with that, having something. But it just used to piss me off because we'd lose like 40 people every year in these crazy winter storms. And I would say at least a few of them could have lived if they would have just had basic necessities. Nothing that takes up too much room, but something, having some type of sleeping, something to keep you warm, something to keep you hydrated, something to keep you fed, some way to make fire, some way to make lighting with signaling or whatever, all sorts of stuff. But kind of getting back to this whole Bud Light virus. If you just showed up, I'm calling the C virus the Bud Light virus because I guess YouTube's all freaking out about if you say it or whatever. I don't know if it shuts your video down or does whatever it does, but I'm just figured I'd skip it and call it the Bud Light virus. It's people are kind of going, okay, I need to buy this stuff now. The problem is you go, okay. Luckily, you have stuff in stock. So I went to go get some more toilet paper and some more paper towels. Basically, like rice and that kind of stuff. I put in Mylar bags. I could definitely upgrade it and stack it taller. I could definitely get some different types, some beans, some different pasta kind of stuff, that kind of stuff. But Great Man Concepts, how you doing, buddy? But I think most importantly is just like have some food on hand. Obviously, if something happens, power outage, whatever the case is, and we have a backup generator here. But you're gonna want to first thing you're gonna want to attack is the fridge. You're gonna want to eat that food before it rots, and then the stuff in the freezer is gonna turn into basically refrigerated stuff because it's gonna defrost. So you're gonna want to attack that stuff as well, and then you're gonna attack the cans of stuff that you have, And then way down the line, if it continues on, you're going to have to deal with the not so fun stuff, the not fancy stuff, right? The Mylar bags of rice, the Mylar bags of beans, the this and the that, and however crazy you ended up getting, which when I use the word crazy, I just mean smart. Then you got to get into that stuff, right? So it's always good. Like MREs. So say you won a jackpot and you had a bunch of extra money and all of a sudden you bought MREs. Well, you're going to want to buy stuff that you have on the shelf right now, right? Your body's not going to get used to if you just all of a sudden shut down and now you had to eat MREs or you had to eat like dehydrated food, like straight up breakfast, lunch, dinner. Your body's really going to get impacted very much. It's going to be tough for your body to get used to that right off the get-go. So if you had the ability to kind of mix that in a little bit and you knew it was going to be like a long duration, being able to get your stomach kind of used to that is better than normal. If you think about like when people feed people, or when you have a dog, right? If you're a dog, you can't just give them a different type of dog food. You got to kind of mix that in until you get, where they're used to that other food, or they're going to be throwing up or have diarrhea or all that stuff. Same thing is going to happen to us. We're going to be, shit's going to be coming out both ends of us if we don't prepare. So what food doesn't taste better than with green mold? There you go. It's penicillin. It's good for you. Rub it on those injuries. 20-year food buckets are the way to go. So DW, it brings up a point. So a 20-year food bucket. Now I'll tell you, for the community that I work in, I talked them into buying a bunch of emergency supplies because that's what I do, right? Try to prepare people for the gonna be happening soon kind of events, your earthquakes and all that stuff, because we're preparing for something that we know is going to happen. We just don't know when it'll happen, and we hope it never happens, but more than likely, depending on what you're preparing for, it will happen. So like an earthquake per se. So I ended up buying Mountain House. It's the 5-day packs, and I bought 5. Let's see, what did I do? It was a 5-day pack for 400 people. So each one of those was good for one person for 5 days, and that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I purchased 400 cots, 400 sheets, blankets, pillows, medical kits, and not medical kits, like a shaving bag, but made for women, made for men, and made for infants. Water. Tons of water. We bought the canned water. It had the best shelf life. It stacked the best, so that worked out really well. Bobby's saying wool blankets. Yeah, there's a wool blankets. We did sheets and cots, so they're fairly prepared. Now, are they prepared for everything? No, they're not prepared for everything, but they are more prepared than they were before we had purchased all this stuff. So they're doing pretty good. Things we need to work on is I'm kind of going back to California again, but water, right? Water is a very hard to find. You can't just go hiking for 10 minutes and find some water anywhere in Southern California. It's very dry desert. You don't have a bunch of streams running around. You don't have water hardly anywhere. So water is a huge component. So when you can find water, even if it's not clean water, maybe some type of straw, maybe some type of filtering system, whatever the case is, but water is a big thing. So for us, we basically took, I believe it was a gallon a day times 400 people times 5 days, and that's how many cans of water we ended up with. So it definitely helps. Jerry Parker's talking about MREs with 2,000 calories. And yes, now they do have, hey, Bald, I'm curious. I was talking about you earlier about, let me make sure your name's not on this side, about all your cool patches you gave me. So I was giving you some kudos earlier. But it was important to make sure that we had enough water for being able to clean up. some of the things that concerns people is, bathing, right? You're not going to be able to sit there and take showers, 10-minute showers and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to be able to flush toilets. So having bags, having like some type of bag where you can throw it in the toilet, do your business and maybe tie it up and then dispose of it via a trash can or whatever the case is, depending on how crazy it is. Conservative Sniper Hunter had asked, are they edible? The MREs are very edible, but the Mountain House, what I was talking about earlier, is they're delicious. Now, when I say delicious, I'm not saying it's going to be, better than your mom's favorite spaghetti or whatever, regular home cooked meal kind of stuff. But I will say the reason why I went with those is because they have meat protein in them, where a lot of them, like Wise Foods, I've had Wise in the past. They are dehydrated food as well. I got like this cough that won't like come up. It's pissing me off. But it doesn't have any meat protein to it. So it has all the protein you need, all the basic, nutrients that you need for a day's worth of stuff. But I don't consider a meal unless it has meat in it. So I was like, let's get the good stuff. So the Mountain House is one of the top. There we go. Is one of the top ones, I believe, as far as taste. So we went with that. And they had a shelf life of like 25 years, so it was really cool. Let's see. Make sure it's done properly. Biggest thing of that is making sure to protect your supplies. And I'm not saying some marauders coming out and grabbing your emergency supplies. I'm talking about like things that'll mess up your whole thing, and that's like mice, rats. There's things besides bad people that want to get to your supplies, and that is basically rodents. So you want to make sure that stuff is put away. Yeah. Oh my God, he's coughing. I got the Bud Light virus. So you got to be cautious and careful with that stuff. Storing it in a nice cool area that's not damp is always good. It's supposed to keep it. You can have God, this cough won't go away. You can have the same stuff, guys. If you take an MRE that lasts 5 years and you throw it in a hot trunk of a car that stays in Arizona, where the temperatures inside can exceed like 125, 50 degrees. That stuff will go bad faster than it would if you had it in a cool, dry place. So know that that's also the case. Heat is a killer on supplies. Yep, there you go. He's in Arizona. Let's see. The tea with lemon and honey will fix that cough. Yes, it will. Let's see. Yeah, we'll save them. You got the Bud Light virus, black sheepdog said. DW. So do most of you guys have something? Do you have it, like, be honest with yourself? Do you have 10 days? Well, let's start off with 5. Do you have 5 days worth of stuff? Basically, most people think that if you can pass 72 hours, right? Then the federal government will come and save you, per se. They always say, like, have 72 hours of supplies until we can get there to save you. Like, do we even have that? Like, and then don't kid yourself. Like, I feel like I do pretty good, but when I was running through Costco, I was like, man, I wish I had some more of this, and I wish I had some more of that. Do I want to buy that stuff right now? Yeah, WTF SoCal said, and he lives in California. Well, obviously by his channel name, but he's got to deal with the same shit I used to have to do. When's the big one coming? When is it gonna fall on us? And all the freeways are basically, the bridges have collapsed, and there's nowhere for any big rigs to show up for food and supply all the grocery stores. So Elster's out of here. Sorry, buddy. Take care. Have a good one. Let's see, Nick Knox, how you doing, buddy? How's Nick? He makes some stuff in the freezer. So, like, one of the things, a good example at our house is our generator is an auto start generator, but it doesn't power up the whole house. It basically just does one section of the house, and then it does the garage because I think it's an emergency to be able to get your car out. So the power to the garage door is powered also on that supply, but my freezer is not. So when we do have a power outage, I need to run an extension cord up to the one that's in the roof that powers the garage door. So that's one of the things, like if I'm gone, my son knows he's supposed to power up. If your boyfriend has hydrated, you wouldn't have that stuck in it. Come on, Gray Man. Here's a question. Do you have fuel for the grill? Great question. So I have 3 5-gallon propane bottles, but mine also runs charcoal. So it's kind of set up where there's 2 sections. There's a gas propane section, a charcoal section, and the smoke section. So I could definitely, when I run out of propane, run to the charcoal, and then if I run out of charcoal, I could really just run firewood in the smoker or in the charcoal area, and I would be able to cook forever. I got tons of trees around here. Along with WTF 7 can't start taking things seriously after 2007. Yeah, see, in Bad Billy 429, he lives on a lake. So a lot of concerns like I had when I was in California, I don't even care about anymore as far as water supply, because I have a fresh pond here that's fed with a spring, and then I have a stream that runs on the property edge. So I could basically filter that, boil it if I needed to, all that kind of stuff, and I'd have some type of drinking water. Now I do have city water, and then I also have well water. So I got a few options. That was one cool thing when I moved here, and the realtor had said you have both. I was like, oh, that's bitching. Bald and Curious. See, Bald and Curious has a lot of canned foods. Well, some dry food, and I can go for probably 2 weeks. Running water as long as I have power. I can run a generator for like 2 hours a day. Yeah, see, then if you're running a well, and your power goes down, some people have their house powered, but they don't have their well powered because it's usually sometimes a distance away. So Val or Bald and Curious has a generator where you can charge it up, which makes it really nice. At least fill the tanks. A lot of people have, like in California, you have to have some type of tank system. So if there is a fire in like your wildland fire areas, they have to have a tank that will hold a certain amount of gallons of water so that, the fire equipment can either grab water from that or whatever the case is. But it's nice. X-Ring, what's up, buddy? So they're required to have a tank. So if you could at least fill the tank, to get it topped off, then you'd have water probably for a few days, and then you'd have to run the generator back out there again. Well, ammo, and there are deer around here, so I'd whack some critters and eat them. Yeah, food. Seeing a lot of people, and that's kind of a thing that you hear, even in places where there is a ton of deer, and there's a lot of deer around here. I wouldn't say a ton, but, there's quite a few that hang around in my pasture at night. There's going to be a lot of extra people trying to get those same deer. So when you see 100 deer, that maybe are just right in your area, there may be 300 people trying to get those same 100 deer. So food can be plentiful, especially if you're way out in the sticks and there's no one around. But something to think about is everybody else is going to want that deer. The front lawn's not a pasture. I call it a pasture. It's freaking huge. And then I got the bottom pasture. Of course, you're from California, so I'll call it a front lawn. Let's see. Oh, Ray's in the house. Yeah, we had a good time on that chat. Ray came over. I don't know if you guys got to see it or not. It was fun. We were on Hank Strange's little live chat for a while. It's kind of a bummer though, because I wanted to see Pops Quest's live chat, and Lola had called me and said, "Hey, can you fill in? There's a guy that's not able to make it tonight." So I said, "I think so." Okay, Pasture never has a volleyball net on it. Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, we have we have a volleyball net in the middle of our grass field. That's a great question. Black Sheepdog. He had asked about medical care covered. You know, there's a difference between having a bunch of stuff and then knowing how to use a bunch of stuff, and then having both, having a lot of stuff and knowing how to use it. Now, I've talked to a few friends in the past, and they'll go out and buy stuff, which is good. I think they should, because even if they don't know how to use something, you may come across someone that is a nurse or a doctor, whatever the case is, and they may know how to use the stuff. So buying stuff you don't know is still a good thing. And then maybe getting training on how to use it is even a better thing. And then actually knowing how to use it is even a better thing. So the reason why it's better to have, better to know how to use stuff is because you can get away with a lot of stuff. So like a SAM splint is basically like a thick piece of aluminum that has padding on it and then is rolled up, and it's like for a broken wrist or whatever. But you can utilize that in 100 different ways, and a lot of people don't tell you about that. So kind of understanding the concept of splinting or whatever the case is, they may only use that item in one aspect, where you can actually use that item in, say, multiple aspects. So having a little bit of information on that, but knowing how to, if you go through some classes, I'd say if you get a chance to go through like a first aid class, understand how to stop bleeding, understand how to splint stuff. CPR is huge if you know how to do CPR. Now, if you have to do CPR for more than, I don't know, 30 minutes by yourself, you're going to get exhausted, and you're basically just going to be laying next to the person that has, went into cardiac arrest. Hell, you may go into cardiac arrest. So having multiple people, whether it's your family, and practicing doing CPR, but being able to trade off, right? So say I go into cardiac arrest and my wife knows how to do CPR. She's doing CPR, and then she's getting tired, and then maybe my son could do CPR, right? And go on. But if you have to do it all by yourself because you're the only one that knows how to do it, hey, Skywarp, hey, neighbor guy, you're not going to, in the full content of like things are going bad and you don't have like an ambulance being able to come and show up and that kind of stuff, CPR is almost a lost cause because you can only do it for so long. Now, if you have an automatic defibrillator, and you can basically shock that rhythm back into bringing them back, basically, and they come back, then your percentage or your possibility of actually saving that person's life is a lot better. But like, if CPR is not going to fix things like in the middle of shit hits the fan, like if you're doing CPR, it's probably not going to work out in the middle of an EMP or something where you're not going to have rescuers coming and an ambulance is showing up and all that kind of stuff. So the other thing your wife would be doing is making sure life insurance. yeah, for sure. Hold on, I got to go check something real quick. But for the most part, we're talking about when things are bad, right? When things go bad, we're using our emergency supplies for stuff or whatever the case is. This isn't like the normal everyday deal. But medical supplies, being able to stop some type of bleeding, all that case. Those are the important things. So if you have a chance, get some type of medical class. I know Skinny Medic, he does a lot of classes around his area, but they have them everywhere, guys. A lot of them are free at the hospital, or you pay a little bit, and they'll teach you how to do certain stuff. but it's most important. But back to the question, do you have medical supplies? Like, you're not going to be able to stop problem A if you don't have, medical gear A. And you're not going to be able to stop this. You're not going to be able to stop that. But with knowledge, you need less gear. Someone had brought up like nosebleed. No, stop the bleed. Being able to figure out how to stop the bleed, whether it's with the tourniquet or maybe direct pressure or maybe just holding some pressure on it and it'll stop soon, whatever the case is. Hold on. Maybe I did get the Bud Light virus. I'm sneezing now. Let's see, I've looked for the stop the bleed classes, but none less than 11. Yeah, the Bud Light flu. Florida bearded fisherman. I didn't put anywhere this time, buddy. I did not put anything. Less than 100 miles. But yeah, if you get a chance, talk to someone that can teach a class, and it's great knowledge to have. Let's see, medical supplies are essential items everyone should have, along with heaps of multivitamins. Yeah, multivitamins are huge. Having some type of alcohol so you can clean different stuff. Like, do I want to grab all that junk? Probably not. Bud Light Zone, medical supplies. Even some stuff, depending on what you're having. So, you may have these. There's a couple things that are going to be very dangerous to have, and I can't remember. Thank you, Ray. And I can't remember which ones are bad to have after expiring, and it's 100%, right? After a while, the duration of it, maybe after expiration, say it expires today. So we'll just call it today it expires. In 6 months from now, it's still going to be good, but it may have lost a little bit of potency per se. Now, some medicines you cannot take after expiration because of certain reasons. I don't know exactly what they are, but for the most part, a lot of stuff you can. So like say it's Tylenol PM, right? And you bought some at Costco and you got a bunch and you're like, oh, I'm gonna throw some extra in here in my little my go bag or bug home bag or bug out bag or whatever the case is. For the most part, most of that stuff is good. Hopefully somebody knows some antibiotics are sketch. So it could be antibiotics. Levi's got a good thing. Fishing lines and stitches. A lot of people will carry sutures. I know I have a little packet of sutures. I guess I would just grab it. It's basically a surgeon's kit. It's a little military one. It's got different things in it, and then I added some sutures and all that kind of stuff. Then I got one of those little stapler guns. If you got a big laceration on something, you can just staple, which is basically just stitches your skin back together. And then bandages to keep that stuff. Remember, you need more than you think you need, because if you have a wound, you're going to need to change those bandages out or they're going to get bad, right? So even though you have enough to do an injury, you're going to need more to reapply later when it gets bad. Duct tape works good, Jackson. You got super glue. Oh, Tim Davis said it. Super glue. Super glue can work really good, especially on a nice clean cut. But if you got a really jagged, gnarly thing, it may not work too good. You might have to stitch it up. But being able to make sure that whatever you're using, like these gloves right here, right? I bought these. Oh, here we go. I bought these at Costco. No, I didn't. I bought them. Mark. I think that's Sam's Club or Costco. I can't remember which one. And I use these for cleaning guns, whatever. Just keep my hands. Hell, I used them today for taking bacon out of a package, so I didn't have to get all bacon fat slime on my fingers. But if I needed to do something, these aren't sterile, right? And they make sterile gloves. But for the most part, SHTF kind of stuff, this is way better than nothing, right? So being able to utilize that is, you can do a lot of things with gloves. You can turn it into, like if you're going to give somebody an IV, you could wrap this around, like especially like a kid's arm, and turn it into a quick tourniquet. Not a tourniquet like you guys would use for like a gunshot wound or a large laceration where the guy's or lady's bleeding out. But like if you're going to give an IV, I've seen them use that before. Let's see. Some kimchi. Nick Knox. Nick Knox is in Korea. Nick Knox, where are you at again? Korea, I think. Yeah, gloves for taking bacon out. So I was cooking a bunch of bacon today in the oven. Yeah, in the oven, because I didn't want to make a big mess. I have to clean it up. I just wanted a BLT. So instead of getting all that, just, and then you throw the gloves away, you're done, Val. It's a little trick. The Patriot Nurse does have a lot of good info. Yeah, the Patriot Nurse is very knowledgeable, has tons of videos on stuff. The Skinny Medic has a ton of videos on basically feeling like if you're packing a wound is a lot different than just putting a tourniquet on. Packing a wound, you need, oh, here we go. Let me do this. So you use a tourniquet on your extremities. So basically from here, anything that's bleeding in here or amputated, shot off, completely blown off, whatever the case is, you can put a tourniquet on. Legs are the same thing. Packing wounds is tough because say you're shot in the abdomen. You're shot in the abdomen, you're not having the, you can't really pack an abdomen because all your internal intestines are like a big bowl of jelly. Basically, they move around, so you can't really push in there and try to stop a bleed. But like in a big area, like your thigh or something that has a little more meat to it, and it's not just a big bowl of jelly, you can pack a wound, and that'll help. Because basically, you have an artery inside of your leg that's just pouring out, and you got to figure out a way to put enough pressure on the end of that artery, or pinch it off to get it to stop. And that's basically where that tourniquet will help out. Tourniquets are great for head wounds. Yeah, if you're bleeding on the head, you just put a tourniquet right here, and you torque that baby down to. No, packing only works on muscle tissue. There you go. Yeah, you need some type of muscle back there. Can a tourniquet stop a head wound? Okay, never mind. Armament and axes, it can stop a head wound, but you're doing the opposite of what you're trying to do. That's why you shoot first. That's right. So a lot of stuff on medical, guys. I think most importantly is to have water, food, and then I'm not saying this is before that or that is before this, but making sure you can protect your family, right? So whether that's a firearm or a mounted 60 on the top of the roof, 24-hour watch with 12 trained killer dogs that run around your property, whatever the case is. But medical supplies for sure, food, water. But it's not just the house. That's what I'm trying to push is you guys need this stuff in your car as well. You need to have something. If you come across the scene of an accident, having a tourniquet, and I talked about this in earlier videos, but you could be driving down the road. This happens all the time. People do rollover, and say the guy rolled over into a fence and ripped his arm off. He's just going to sit there and bleed until somebody puts a tourniquet on it. When I was in the Navy, Tim Davis says, our personnel med kit was a belt, your ID card, and your finger. Yeah, see, a lot of stuff you can do with the belt. You can use it as a tourniquet. And I think the finger is basically like direct pressure. Chest seals too. Yeah, if you have a gunshot wound, or maybe you have something has basically gone in and punctured your lung, and now your lung is, because a lung is just like a balloon, it's right, and then there's a sac around that. If you have blood that fills up, your lung can't expand, so you're having problems. You won't be able to breathe, and that's usually on one side or the other, unless you get shot, through this way. But for the most part, like a sucking chest wound, a lot of times air also, so you can do a needle. I don't want to get too crazy, but there's a lot of stuff that you can do if you understand what to do with it. And that's kind of the point of getting some type of training. That's why you keep a trauma kit in the car. It sounds like Rick Allen, the drummer from Def Leppard. Yeah, could have been, huh? I have a decent medic kit. And a medic first aid instructor with my scuba instructor stuff. Nice. Very nice. Florida bearded fisherman. That's cool, man. Awesome job. MCK, how you doing, buddy? Let's see here. Let's catch up. Doom Chaser. That's why my first rule is do not get in a fight. I have no gun, no rights to carry in California. Yeah, don't get in trouble. Remember, just don't get hurt around me because you are effed out of luck. Yeah, and see, that's the thing. You guys would probably enjoy going to a medical class because you're learning something new. It's something that can help you. It can help your family members. It can help people around you. Think of the shooting in Las Vegas. All right? You're in the middle of this mess, basically. And, you guys are hiding behind some type of hopefully bulletproof protection of some sort, right? But you got the people that are with you and you're kind of hiding. Maybe one's bleeding really bad. Well, just knowing a few things, maybe taking your shirt off and making a tourniquet out of a shirt, or at least slowing down the bleeding, may save that person's life. Something real simple. Using a belt, whatever the case is. Maybe having the stuff on you. Maybe you're Joe Badass and you keep a tourniquet on you. Just having some simple, basic knowledge of stuff is huge. So it's always good to know people. And bounce stuff off of them. If say you got a couple of friends that work for an ambulance, or maybe you got a family member that's a nurse at a hospital or whatever the case is, and you don't want to take a class, maybe bounce some of this stuff off of them. Nice 45 auto. See, now that's going the extra step. He says he wears an ankle hemorrhage kit by Warrior Poet every day. See, and that's being proactive. That's kudos, man. I don't do that. I have one in my car. I have one in my shooting bag. I probably should, but it would be cool if everybody wore one of those. I even know police officers that don't. There's some that do. They carry one, sometimes two, depending on where they work and all that kind of stuff. But you'll see people on like cops or live PD, right? And so they'll just get done shooting somebody, and then they'll make sure the scene's clear or whatever. But then they'll go over there and apply a tourniquet or whatever, because they have it on them. So, you go shoot them, and then you try to save them afterwards, right? I guess. Let's see. So awesome job, 45 auto. That's pretty cool, man. Nick Knox says he's a civil man. I'm a civil man. We do it for church. Most people will bleed out waiting for the police to clear the zone. Very true. Very true. California has impact. I think maybe most of the country has. Back in the day when we had some type of active shooter working in the fire service, and it could be just a shooting. It didn't have to be like 10 people or any of that kind of stuff. Just an active shooter, somebody that's still possibly shooting, we would have to basically stage in a protected area. So say it's on, Main Street, all the fire equipment, the ambulances, we all had to be on basically a different street waiting to get the okay from law enforcement that we could go in there and now help people out. Well, if it takes them 15, 20 minutes to go find the shooter, and the shooter's already shot 5 people, the lethality was not working out great for the fire department, because by the time we get on scene, we were already past basically being able to save these people. So a few years back, we started doing what we call, basically how it works. It's a, for some reason my damn brain's not working. It's like a rapid response, and we have to have law enforcement agencies. So at least 3, 4 is better, but they would take a group of us in, and I can't think it's a rescue task force is what we were called. So as long as we had law enforcement officers, basically like in a diamond shape, we could walk the halls of a warm zone, not the hot zone. So we could go start applying bandages or tourniquets to people and start working on getting them out while law enforcement is still in the hot zone, getting rid of the bad guys, bad girls. There's bad girls out there. Like Kitty. Vanessa Kitty's out there. What's up, Vanessa? Let's see. Nax says, I watched a woman die of a heart attack in front of me once. I was in 8th grade. I felt helpless because I didn't know what to do. 1 week later, I learned CPR and basic first aid in school. Yeah, you don't need to be out of high school to be learning how to do CPR. We will teach we go and we call it sidewalk CPR, guys. The sidewalk CPR is basically, we take people off the street and we teach them CPR. Now, there's a difference between what we do and what they do. But basically, when you give somebody CPR, when you're giving them chest compressions, correct chest compressions, their chest is expanding and contracting. Now, normally, you would see, if you haven't seen it in a while, but in between the period of like 30, right? So we give them 30 chest compressions, we'd give them 2 breaths of oxygen, and then we go back and forth, 30 to blah, blah, blah. And then the American heart has changed in the last 30 years that I've been working in the fire service. I think it's changed probably, I don't know, at least 6 times. So on those things, well, it doesn't really matter. If you don't know CPR and you're attempting CPR, if you're just not in the complete wrong spot, you're definitely helping pump, circulate blood from the heart. So what I'm getting at is the oxygen part is when you're giving CPR, that person's chest is rising and expanding. Well, it's actually taking a little bit of oxygen. So they're basically kind of breathing. They're not getting full breaths like if we were to basically pump air into their chest, but they are getting some oxygen. And over the years, the people that do all the testing on what works the best, they're basically saying that like sidewalk CPR saves a lot of people's lives because they're usually the first one to find that person, right? And they may not know CPR per se, but they're doing their best. They're like, they're giving chest compressions. Well, they are circulating oxygen. So that is helping. So sidewalk CPR, we don't even teach breaths because they are getting oxygenated blood via the chest compressions. It's not as great as what we do with, the pump air and all that cool stuff, but the bag valve mask, but it is definitely better than you just sitting there, standing there looking at somebody dying. Levi, join your local search and rescue. End up with a lot of good gear. There you go. Bikini. Let's see here, John. There are plenty of bikinis. Dr. Mike says, rule number 1 is chest compressions, chest compressions, chest compressions. Yeah, if you remember the song Staying Alive, that's the consistency of the beat you want. staying alive, staying alive. Bum, bum. So you'd be going that fast. Dun, 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 staying alive, staying alive. That's how they teach people to remember it. That movie's so old now that probably most people haven't even heard of that damn movie. Compressions are most important, yeah. Very true, Armament Axis. Let's see, Doom's Chaser 1. I just had to do all of that on my dad. He did not make it. He had lots of heart problems. Went fast. Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. Sorry to hear that. I even carry an O2 monitor in my first aid kit. Nice. Very nice. See, and that's kind of the thing, guys. If you take some simple training, say you're trying to, like, taking a pulse, right? Being able to, say you find a guy. We get calls all the time for people that are drunk and face down in the grass, right? Well, we usually get them around 6 o'clock when the kids are riding to school on their bikes on the pathways and stuff, and it'll just be a drunk guy, basically face down or whatever. But knowing how to take a pulse is a big thing. You might just have a sleepy drunk dude, and you can obviously bump him around. Hey, wake up, kind of deal. But sometimes people pass out in the middle of the grass. But on other times, people do have heart attacks and die on like a jogging trail. So being able to check for a pulse is a huge thing. So they thought you that, Rick. I thought you learned that from Dr. Mike. Let's see. Back to the fun stuff. Hornady Locked and Loaded Classic Kit or the Hornady Locked and Loaded Classic Deluxe. I don't have any knowledge of those ones. I know there was an issue with one. I think Eagle, I was telling, had a video that was out. Something about this little piece he's trying to redesign because it doesn't line up the brass shell to go into the feeder and basically the tray. I don't know. Damn you, Rick. Now the BGs are stuck. Oh, the BGs are stuck in my... Staying alive. Yeah. Never used... Let's see. The old collarbone tap. Oh, yeah. You know what's even better than the collarbone tap? Florida Bearded Fisherman. So say you have a patient, right? I used to get all these basically these people that were like pretending that they had passed out or whatever the case was. They're basically, most of the time it was women, and they were drunk, but they were pretending they're passed out or whatever the case is. And we used to do this thing called a sternum rub back in the day, and then that was kind of like non-professional because it looked kind of like aggressive, like the firefighters were, and this wasn't with women. You'd do this on men, or you're basically trying to stimulate them to wake them up if they're half passed out or whatever the case is, or if they're faking it. And you could like raise their hand up, and if like they do this, that they're basically conscious because they don't want their thing to fall on their face, right? But that stuff looks bad in the public eye, especially nowadays. But you can take a pen, and I go, hey, buddy, are you all right? And what I'll do is you just put it up against the nail bed right here. Try this if you have a pin nearby. And then just squeeze right here. And this doesn't look like I'm doing anything, right? Well, if you squeeze this hard enough, they're going to jump up. If they're faking it, they're going to jump up. Definitely. Try that on your finger, see what happens. Just don't kick me in the ribs when I'm sleeping on the lawn. That does not sound good. Get off my lawn. So, did you guys try that yet? That'll wake your ass up. So, it works good, and it doesn't look like aggressive or evasive. And a lot of people, like, I think Florida Bearded Fisherman, you basically like grab that. What's that called? A trap? Is that a trap or something? What the hell is this thing called right here? You can kind of squeeze it and see if they're screwing off or whatever the case is. So those are kind of some ways, but definitely knowing a little bit is definitely going to help if you don't have anything. And I'm sure a lot of it you guys could find online. Taking a pulse, taking a blood pressure. If you guys can know like what your pulse is supposed to be at your certain age, if you know what your respirations are supposed to be, if you know what your blood pressures are supposed to be, and that kind of stuff, and then you go to take it for somebody and it's way different, you may not know what's wrong with them, but it could be life-threatening, right? It's not normal. So, like, oh my God, this guy has a pulse rate of 225. Well, let me tell you, that's a wee bit high, my friends. That's a wee bit high. Knowing that infants have a faster heart rate than children, or pediatrics compared to like children compared to adults, like all that's different. So if you're trying to help a kid, their heart rate might be a little bit faster, but don't worry about it as much depending on where it is. TB, what's up, buddy? What's up? So there's a lot of little things that you guys could just go online and Google, like what is the average heart rate of an adult? What is the average blood pressure of an adult? How do you take a blood pressure? And there's a lot of things like you got your systolic and diastolic. So like when I say the blood pressure is 120/80, those are two numbers, right? Well, if those two numbers are like this or like that, those mean things. Now, you don't need to know what all this means, but you just need to know that it's not normal, right? Or not as good. Or I can't get a pulse on this guy, or he's only breathing like 9 times a minute. That could be bad, right? So there's a lot of things, but there's just stuff you can find online. It's easy. That'll definitely help you out. I'm coke banging. This is why I do this chat. I know I have more fun than you guys do. Like Bald and Curious's comment was freaking hilarious. Tons of comments out here. Hey, he say, I love it. It's so much fun. Mario Mosen, what's up, buddy? Yeah, California did call a state of emergency on the Bud Light virus. So, wash your hands, all that good stuff. I'm not too worried about things, I don't think. What about when you take your blood pressure and the top number is too high to register? Man, you should see where's my shit at? Let me see. Let's see. You got out yeah, I got out just in time. Could you imagine if they locked it down and I was stuck in California? Man, I would be making YouTube videos on how much BS is going on. All right, hold on a second. You got problem with having all this shit is figuring out where it's at. I don't know if I want to look for all this crap. If your blood pressure is that high, buddy, and it's not registering, you need to go seek the hospital. So here's a stethoscope, right? What can I do with a stethoscope? Well, if I wanted to prepare for a big dune, right, and I didn't have anything, I could use this as a tourniquet. I could basically tie this around your leg. It's not the width that I would want, or I could tie it around the arm. I could stop you from bleeding, but it's made for listening to your respirations, and it's made for basically figuring out what your blood pressure is. And actually, when I used to work in a muffler shop in high school, you take this part out and you put a little metal tube in, you can actually find any leaks that are along your, like around your converters or your mufflers or even your head pipe. So there is that. Dr. Rick is, yeah, Grey's Anatomy. Doctors in the house. You can hear through walls. Depends how thick your walls are. You can definitely hear more shit than you would not hear if you didn't have these. They are only slightly more, and I think you'll be happy. Rick uses the same prep. Yeah, Wayne, I use this one. It's by Lee. No, this one's a Redding one, right there, the green one. But it sounds like he wants to go progressive. I thought this one here, the Lee Classic. I think this is what it's called, the 4-turret one. Works. It works. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't really like it. It's just too pop metal-y cheap feeling, like when you go to seat stuff. I don't like how things are flexing. It's like, did I flex it last time I seated the bolt? Oh, gotta punch in my password here. Some dumb way. Oh, what the hell? Hold on, I gotta do this. Jeez. For some reason, my computer, one day I was messing with it, and now you have to like put in the password like 3 times just to get on the damn computer. Stuck in California and no tea. Oh, don't even start. I'm gonna have a nightmare tonight. Yo, Adamus, what's up? Listen to the wall, Rick. I bet mice are conspiring against you. Not now. Let's see. Sorry, I thought that was RCBS. No, they're all for the most part the same. But this one works great. I wish I had that turret, the 7-head one. That'd be the one I'd pick. That'd be my next one. I think it's 7 heads. 700 million plus. Chinese locked up. For that to happen, I think Plague is good. Yeah. Hello. Let's see. But so that's some of the stuff. Blood pressure cuffs. It's kind of like if you needed to slow down something, right? What do you guys live where there's rattlesnakes or different types of poisonous vipers that can bite you and harm you? Knowing how to fix that. Knowing how to slow the blood down to keep from getting to your heart. You know, all those little things are definitely good stuff. Stopping a nosebleed, right? Everybody basically squeezes here and goes like this. You know, the moms are the one that crack me up the most. So they'll be like, come here, Timmy, and he'll grab the kid by the nose and he'll lean his head back, right? Well, the poor kid's like coughing and shit because it's coming back down and he's choking and shit and it's just swallowing blood and all this shit. And I'm just like, what are you doing to that poor kid? And a nosebleed, you don't want to lean back. You don't want the blood going down. You don't want to swallow the blood. All you're going to do is vomit it back up. If you've got a nosebleed, and people get nosebleeds, we go to calls for nosebleeds. People are thinking, oh my God, I can't believe somebody calls 911 for that. But there is actually very severe nosebleeds. And but basically pinching or pack and pinch, but leaning forward and let it coagulate and stop the blood flow is the way you want to do that. Tampons, there you go. That has been definitely used. You can do a lot with tampons. Oh, the Lyman Turret S press for single stage and the Lee Pro 100 for progressive. Nice. And when it happens here, you are saying it won't. No, I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying I think the news media is basically scaring everybody to this virus is no more dangerous than any of the other influenzas. We've had way more deaths from all sorts of different ones than we've ever had with this one. Can it get out of hand and all that stuff? Yeah. Is it out of hand in some countries? Yes. But I think with President Trump basically shutting down the borders for other countries coming in after when it was first recognized, he was very preventative, and people gave him a lot of shit for that. But I think that was a smart move on his part to save Americans. So It's unfortunate, but this I don't think you're going to get the same death tolls as I don't think it's going to break any records than anything else. Bryson shoots, how you doing, buddy? So I don't. I think there's a lot more scare tactic in this one than there is in a lot of other ones. Just my opinion. And with this one, it's not so bad on the young kids, which is really cool. It's usually most influenza stuff is young, very young, and very old, or middle of the road, but very unhealthy or having medical problems. So I think most people, there you got Tim Davis saying 30,000 people die each year in the U.S. of the flu, and half of Americans refuse to get the flu shot. I'm not a big component of the flu shot anymore. I'm usually really good when it comes to, having a good system. I don't know if it's from working in the medical field for so long, but I've always been, I don't know, you can call it lucky or whatever, but I think between drinking sweet tea and not sweet tea, it's not the sweet part of it, but the drinking tea, which has good, what is it called? Antioxidants, definitely helps. Washing my hands after I go to the bathroom or go in an airplane with all them cooties, basically a flying cootie bucket. So I don't know. I've been, and when there is 3 to 4 strains, who knows? Well, that's the thing. We got so much stuff that's just as bad, maybe even worse. The mumps, the measles, all that kind of stuff, until we figured it out, right? But the influenza is a flu. People die of the flu. Is this one more gnarly than the other ones? I don't know. They keep saying it is, but how much stuff do you believe on TV anyways? H1N1 killed over 1,000 before Obama got involved. Yeah, exactly. We had, what was that? One with the freaking, the hell was the name of that one? With the stupid mosquitoes. What was that one? Can't remember what the name of it was, but there's always something. There was one, Chris, or Armament and Axes. There was a couple people wearing masks. We can all become bubble boys and girls. Yeah, I think West Nile. Thanks, Val. I appreciate that. There's always going to be stuff out there, guys. But precautions. We live in if they have a third world country, we have a first world country? I don't know what the right name would be, but we have very good sanitation stuff, right? For the most part, we have toilets, we have sewers. The stuff doesn't go right into the water for the most part. People have water and soap, and they wash their hands, and they wash their clothes, and they're eating good food, and they're not eating some crazy rats and bats and funky stuff that you should never eat per se. I know people have, depending on your culture, you have things that some people maybe would frown upon, but things like that are scavengers, like bats, rats, that stuff is basically they're here to basically recycle, to eat and digest, and they're basically our trash compactor disposers for the most part. Like, why would you want to eat that? Like, bats eat bugs and all sorts of stuff, right? All the shit runs downhill to California. So 200 million will die this year. They may. I don't know. I'm not trying to say it's not an issue, but what I'm saying is I think the hype is hurting more people than helping them. Good night, folks. Have a good night, SoCal. Have a good night, my friend. See, now lobster, on the other hand, those are bottom feeders, like Tim says. But damn, they're good. I like crab too. Let's see. Asian markets are fucked up. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Never been to one. Now, I've seen plenty of videos on this. And you have all this fish that just sits there, and you got dead chickens laying on cardboard boxes, and all this shit sitting out. There's no freaking air conditioning, even. There's no refrigeration. And I don't know. I don't know how or why you'd ever want to eat any of that stuff. Maybe their system's used to it or something, or maybe I don't know. But man, you see all that dead fish, you see the dead chickens, and all the shit. I don't even know what it is, and it's just sitting there outside, basically on a sidewalk thing or something with a cover over it, and you're like, this can't be like. You wouldn't see this anywhere else. Chitlins, yeah, get you some chitlins, Jerry. Shrimps are yummy too, yeah. So, I don't know. Totally a different world for sure. But for the most part, that doesn't impact them. You know, they do it all day long. They eat it. It works fine. And this wasn't that thing. I still think that this virus was made from humans and accidentally released near that food place, and that's what started this. I saw something, one of my friends had texted me on that. It's a base, let me find it here. See, Facebook. No. And you guys can pause that. You go on there and you're going to learn. That. And the reason why they thought they nailed it down to that food market was because the company that basically all those weird viruses, and somehow that stuff made it out to that market. Whether it was at lunchtime, whether the guy had it on his feet or clothes or whatever happened, that's how that shit all started. So we design all this shit for what? I have no idea. But that is my true thoughts on it. They just quit eating dogs here not long ago. Oh, really? Yeah, see, Nixon, where, damn it, I asked it earlier. You probably answered me, but I want to say Korea, I think. Paul's friend always served it for Christmas. We as a nation, I think. Let's see, I think eating monkeys could be something that might F you up. Now I've seen that too, and they're like live or like just dead or something. They like cracked the skull and the freaking brain sitting there. Like, how does that even sound yummy? Like, who's the guy that says, hey guys, for dinner tonight I have this idea. We're gonna go get 6 monkeys and we're gonna basically hold them down, capture them, whatever they do, and we're gonna take the freaking skull off the top of them, and then we're gonna eat their brain like a freaking soup. Like, where does this come from? Oh, see, Jerry Parker says the doctor that leaked the story was executed by the Chinese. I could see that totally happening. The stream is kind of choppy. It probably is, and I apologize. What time is it? It's almost midnight, so my daughter better not be doing homework still. Monkey meat. When there was 41 cases, they know it must It keeps mutating. Yeah. I don't know. I hope this gets knocked down pretty fast. We shall see. More states are getting it, though. It's bound to happen. The best thing we can do to protect ourselves is keep our shit clean, wash our hands. Don't go to public places if you're worried about it. You see but somebody coughing, run the hell away. I heard on that chat when I was in Missouri, somebody had put in the comments section that there was a lady, I guess, somebody maybe have coughed or whatever on an airplane, and she whipped out some freaking Lysol or something, and then everybody was complaining about the smell. I don't know how factual that is. It could be totally wrong. Maybe he was just kidding, or she was kidding. I can't remember who commented, but people are they're worried, and they should be, especially if you have health conditions. If you definitely have health conditions, you should be worried. It's old school human craziness. I believe it. People have eaten everything. Good night, all. 5 a.m. will be your fast. Have a great night, Wayne. Thank you for showing up and having fun with us. I hope you had fun with us, and see you on the next one. They suck anyway. Yep. Val Curious says, just stay away from people. I'm not worried, but for the older folks around me. Yeah, this is it's going to get older people first, unfortunately. I was drinking on that chat, Tim. I was stuck at an airport. I had 4 hours to do nothing. So I figured, why not have a drink in the Super Bowl state, my friends? I sprayed 3 or 4 people at work with Lysol as soon as they yeah, Bryson's out there. You got to get one hooked up to like a spray gun, a little like paint sprayer, just like really hammer them down. How did she get? Yeah, see, that was a question I had. I don't know if it comes in a different thing or if it was like a tiny bottle or what. That's a great question because that's what I was thinking as well. No more worried than all the other crud in the atmosphere. We're scared of the unknown. True, we are. Especially people that aren't prepared, right? Kind of jump back where we were. If you got nothing and you're worried and all of a sudden all the shelves are empty and you can't even get toilet paper, those guys are really worried. Arizona firefighter got put on lockdown today because someone they helped had the virus. Yeah, we had a Orange County Fire Authority, which is above us, north of us, about an hour. They had to close down a station because the whole engine as a group responds to the call, and if that patient was hacking and gagging and coughing and doing all that madness, they had to quarantine the whole damn. They had to quarantine that group of firefighters. So that's another thing. You're gonna get, say this is what it is, right? The Bud Light virus. If you get to the point where you have no responders that can respond to calls because they've all been impacted, they're all in quarantine and all that. And that could definitely be a possibility. Do you realize you're having to breathe in harder than usual? Firefighters will spread it to each other and then first get it. Do you realize you're having to breathe in harder than usual? Nope. Let's see. Full semi-auto Lysol disinfectant. Yeah, I just go everywhere and do some shower. Karate Kid shower. All right. Karate Kid shower. But that's what it is. I think is the most thing, staying away from all that mess. Yeah, I had a toot. Bryson's right. Burp, burp. Dun, 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 dun. All right, gentlemen and boys and girls, we are at 1 hour and 29 minutes, 20 seconds. So I want to say thank all of you very much. Mouse on the move. Appreciate everything. It was definitely a fun night. Enjoyed all you guys. We had a ton of people in here tonight. Right now we're at 34 people. So definitely appreciate that. It's always an exciting adventure. We never know where we're going to go. when the live chat shows up. I know I'm out of tea, so that's reason number 2 I should end this. And I do appreciate it. Hey, Hoot, you are welcome, my friends. Yeah, rubbing alcohol is better than Lysol, plus you can drink it. Yeah, and you can use it for a fire starter too. It's very flammable. All right, hit the thumbs up. Let's see. You know if any firefighter units are doing decontamination at stations? You know what? I don't know what's going to happen with that deal, because I guess you really can't bring on. Oh, and if you want to make millions of dollars right now, start a freaking decontamination freaking department. Because say a large company, say whoever has the issue, right? What are they going to do? They can't just keep the doors closed forever. So they need a company to come in and decontaminate those buildings. So that might be the business you want to start. If I wasn't so lazy, I would start one. But basically, you'd go in there, you decontaminate the whole building, call it good, and then they could get back to work. And you could charge a shit ton of money. So with that said, you guys have a great night. I'll see you on the next one. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And now I'm a minute over in 12 seconds. So, Zeus, now you show up. What's up, buddy? All right, Jackson, all you guys, Nick Knox, Chris, Dooms Chaser, Black Sheepdog. There's a bunch of you guys. I'm just going to stop now. It'll take forever. Good night, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. It was a great time, my friends. Zeus, you were lurking. You didn't even say hi. West Covina Dodge. Night. All right. Take care.